All right, everyone. Welcome back to the show. It's I Quit My Band. What's going on, dude?
Not too much, man.
Yeah, JJ, he's gone again. Can you fucking believe this guy?
It's unreal.
I mean, it's crazy. This is like 3 episodes pretty close together.
Yeah.
Just leaving us to just do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. I mean, he does then edit the entire thing.
Yeah, he does most of the work.
Okay. So I think that might lead to why he's like, I can sit this one out.
Sit this one out. Yeah, so JJ's off again tonight. But thanks for everyone for tuning in. It's I Quit My Band. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and subscribe. Go follow us on Instagram. Go follow us on TikTok. And subscribe to our Patreon page. $5 a month to become a quitter. We got bonus content on there. We just recently did a review of Ghost's new album, Skeleta, on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Fun little review.
Fun review. We might have a classic review of a fan favorite coming up.
Yes, we're going to be doing a classic review of a fan favorite who's also releasing a new record, so you're going to want to stay tuned for a classic review of this mystery artist.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you who it is now. And then, yeah, Ghost was the last band we reviewed on the Patreon, and I think that I'm done with masked bands for the time being.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, masked bands from Europe who look scary and their music isn't
aren't.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've had our appetite quenched.
Yeah, I think
thoroughly.
the world has, too.
I mean, 2 #1 albums in a row.
After the President drop, I feel like everyone's like, all right.
We've had enough of this shit.
The funniest part of it is that I didn't know that the guy who's behind President, that Charlie Simpson guy, I'm thinking it's like everyone is pretty sure it's him. He was on The Masked Singer.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and he won.
I mean, it's bad enough to be on, but to win, I didn't even know that you could win the Masked Singer.
I didn't know. I don't know how you win the Masked Singer.
I thought just the entire conceit of the show was somebody semi-famous comes out of like a whale costume.
Yeah.
And you go, oh!
Is it like who's the best at not revealing themselves? Is that how you win?
Who gets into the character the most of like the giant corn
Who
cob?
can really be the elephant? Who can really live in that skin?
Yeah, I've only ever seen clips from that show. I see that there's judges in audience, and I'm just like,
it's like Ken Jeong.
Yeah. And it's just like, how far has this country fallen?
Yeah, pretty far.
Yeah,
pretty far.
Apparently not as far as Europe. If they're shipping these guys over there.
Yeah, they're shipping a lot of guys over here.
Because President is, I mean, I think Charlie's a British guy too.
He's a British guy. Yeah. Yeah, the President single dropped. We were thinking about covering it, but after we reviewed the Sleep Token record, it's just like there's no more skin on these bones. It's done.
No, it just seems like a way. We talked about it like when we the very first time we talked about Sleep Token. We talked about like this just feels like marketing.
Yeah.
In order to be able to sell pop music to fans of heavy rock music.
Yeah.
And after hearing that President song, you're just like, this is exactly what this is doing.
It's
the guy that was in Busted singing about Miss Mackenzie.
He knows what to do.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He saw that money train leaving the station. He was like, okay.
Time to put on an old man mask.
Oh, it's Reagan.
It's Reagan.
But he's got riffs now.
Heavy Reagan. That's what they should have called the band. Heavy Reagan.
And he should also wear like a fat suit, like 400 pounds.
That would be awesome. It would be cool if they cycled through all of the presidents for that band. He just dressed up like a new one every show.
Yeah.
Millard Fillmore.
Grover Cleveland. Yeah.
Martin Van Buren.
Chester A. Arthur.
Barack Obama.
Yeah, you get in trouble
great
for that one.
Yeah, you might be. You definitely would. But yeah, that song was not very good.
No.
The reason why we're here tonight, we're doing another album review. We're continuing on with Season of the Chad a bit. This one was kind of not one we were totally planning on, but one that I guess we were kind of excited about. The Callous Daoboys with their new album, I Don't Want to See You in Heaven. What do you know about the Callous Daoboys?
Not a ton. They're a band that I'm on like a songs basis with
Yeah.
here and there. people have sent me their stuff because they know that I like Dillinger.
Yeah.
So I've listened to a good bit of Die on Mars. That was like the one that I started getting like sent to me. Fake Dinosaur Bones is a song that I really like. And they have a very similar sound when they're heavy to Dillinger Escape Plan. It has that like mathy panic chord. And the guy's voice, even when he yells, does have a bit of like Greg to him.
Yeah. I would say not even a bit of Greg. I would say it's full on Greg.
It's very Greg-esque.
It's very Greg. I mean, I didn't know much about this band, honestly. Like, this is really my first like deep dive into them. They're one of those bands where I would always see pop up in news feeds, and people are music publications are covering them, and I would check out one of their songs, and I would always just kind of be like, this is like a lot. But it was always one of those bands in the back of my mind, and was like, if you just did a deep dive, you'd probably really like it. And I did for a couple of these new singles, and yeah, that was all that was going through my head the whole time, is how much this sounded like Dillinger, especially with Greg. Like, his voice is like a dead ringer.
Yeah.
And even with songs like where they kind of go into these kind of poppier parts in their songs, but even those parts, like, they remind me of songs like Black Bubblegum, or like Setting Fire to Sleeping Giants, or Unretrified, or something. Like,
yeah,
same vibe.
No, I would agree. Like, they're even on their older stuff that I would listen to, they had that similar balance of when it went into the melodic stuff. It reminded me a lot of how Dillinger would do their melodic stuff. Some of the same influences they were pulling from, and equally, because I feel the same way about Dillinger, I just like it a lot more when they're heavy.
Yeah.
There are certain melodic Dillinger songs that I really like, but the ones that I come back to the most are like just the absolute brutalizers. But I did find on this album there does seem to be a lot more breadth in the genres and sounds that they are pulling from.
Yeah, I would agree.
They step pretty like comfortably out of the Dillinger zone.
It's like Dillinger, except with like melodies, like with legit melodies that last for longer than a half a second. I mean, they don't last for that long on this record, but there's parts where you can nod your head to and tap your foot rather than just being like it's just the fucking crazy math core, whatever. I mean, Dillinger was Dillinger.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they whenever they did like a poppier part, Dillinger did, it was always like kind of embarrassing to hear Greg do like the Backstreet Boys vocal, whereas this guy, he can do it a little bit better.
He embraces it a lot more.
Yeah.
I feel like because we'll get into it as we listen to the album, but they seem to be pulling from like early 2000s influences a lot.
100%.
And that era of screamo, emo, like somewhat pop punk.
Yeah.
They are people that fully embrace going for it with like a pop vocal. And this guy kind of wears it on his sleeve a bit more than Greg did. Like Greg, sometimes when you heard Greg, he's like, he knew that I have to scream
I gotta
in
get
like
back
14 more seconds.
Yeah. Can't be keeping this up for this long.
Yeah.
Callous Daoboys definitely have that same vibe of 2000s metalcore bands with ridiculous song titles, and their first album is called My Dixie Wrecked, which is that's funny.
That rules.
Why not?
They have a song on Die on Mars called Cobra Winfrey.
Oh, I love that.
Could have been like a Fall Out Boy song or something.
The Absolute Barnstormer, stuff like that, just ridiculous kind of stuff. Like, that's so classic, and they definitely do it on this album too. Should we just dive in?
Let's jump in.
Let's do it. It's I Don't Want to See You in Heaven, the Callous Daoboys, and it's I Quit My Band. This is the first song. It's called a Collection of Forgotten Dreams, which kind of like reminds me of like that Black Mirror episode with the Black Museum, where it's like some guy showing you. I think it's like supposed to be a guy. This album is like a concept album of like supposed to be artifacts or something in a museum.
A museum of failure.
A museum of failures, yeah. Which is, I guess that's like the concept of the record. You don't really hear it again until the end of the album, but
yeah, there's like a couple spoken word
Yeah.
like things throughout that
Yeah.
don't seem to be like directly linking the framing device.
yeah,
But yeah, like this, it's like one collection of forgotten dreams, and then the last two are 2 and 3.
Yeah.
The last 2 songs on the record, Opt Out and Country Song in Reverse, and they all have this like you're listening to a pre-recording
Yeah.
at some sort of museum exhibit. I did like this as an opener.
I thought it was interesting. It's like, discovering like history or something, like kind of, unearthing whatever this album is about to be, which is a cool concept.
Yeah, and it also has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like these lyrics and the songs in general have
Yeah.
a sense of humor, and like calling it the Museum of Failure.
Yeah.
And then like on the second one, there's like the guy's like buying the ticket for it.
Yeah,
Like as
yeah,
he
yeah.
walks in, he's like, "This is sponsored by Jeep."
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
I remember hearing the part where he's like, yeah, no, this doesn't give you, the membership doesn't give you a discount.
Yeah,
he's
he's
like,
like,
oh,
"Oh,
okay,
alright."
gotcha. That part was funny.
Yeah, so they're clearly people with like a sense of humor,
Yeah,
which is cool.
for sure. I mean, they're called the Callous Daoboys, which, like, for some reason I didn't put together until
Oh,
like
really?
the 8th time I saw their name. I was like, oh, because it's like callous, and then Dao is a thing in some like Buddhist culture,
Mm-hmm.
and then I didn't put together that it was
The Dallas
the
Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys. I was like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. But yeah, here's the actual first song, Schizophrenia Legacy. I mean,
It's right away with the Dillinger Escape Plan methadone.
yes, just shooting it directly into your veins as hard as they possibly can go. He's screaming his head off, and the guitars are noticeably. I mean, I don't know. We don't have to keep comparing them to Dillinger. It's hard not to with how similar his voice is to Greg's, but their guitar tone is noticeably heavier and thicker than anything Dillinger's ever done, and almost in the vein of djent.
Yeah, it definitely has much. They're definitely tuning their guitars way lower. There's like a new metal-y sort of djent, like flavor to this that Dillinger never really had.
I didn't really get new metal from. I mean, in a couple spots.
Yeah, spots in here. I mean,
Yeah.
the genre shifting on this record.
Yeah.
You get all kinds of shit.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, like we like had that little interlude.
Yeah.
That, I'll tell you who his voice sounds like even more to me when he sings than Greg is Pete Wentz.
I could see Pete Wentz. I think Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys.
There's a couple Nick Carter Backstreet Boys
There's some Nick
moments.
Carter. Also, if I'm being actually realistic, probably the guy from Fall Out Boy, Patrick Stump.
That's who I meant.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the other guy.
Yeah.
I said Pete Wentz.
You said Pete Wentz. Yeah.
No, the guy that can really sing.
The guy, the singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing that I always thought about. Like when I listened to the song Unretrified for the first time, I remember being like, why does Dillinger have a Fall Out Boy vibe?
Yeah.
And this is like pure, like it's that moment, like purified and distilled down into a lot of different moments on this record. Like right now, like that sounds like it could fit on, Century, like that
Yeah.
that stupid ball.
I would give them the early area, like the
Yeah,
Cork
yeah.
Tree era.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that like with this song and some of the other songs, sometimes the genre shifts work well,
Yeah.
and other times I feel similar to how I felt like on the Sleep Token record. Like there are times where this album does kind of feel like the Sleep Token record. They're just pulling from cooler influences. Like the metal is cooler,
Yeah.
and then the pop that they're pulling from is cooler. But it's like this similar exercise in like genre explosion.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying because I thought about the Sleep Token record more than I thought I would while listening to this, because it was like they add these pop, elements in these sections that are very like pop punky and pulling from, even like more contemporary, like not contemporary, but more like radio friendly influences. but they always kind of make it their own, which is like, it made me think like, okay, this is kind of what Sleep Token is doing, but more like on this like very like surface level, strategy of doing things where it just comes off as cheap and easy, where these guys are actually trying to find hooks with their pop elements that they're putting into songs. Like there's the hooks on this album usually come from a pop moment or a section.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, because like that was one of my critiques of the Sleep Token record, is like they're doing all this stuff but none of it they're putting their stamp on. I would say that these guys do.
I mean, it's not the same kind of gent as Sleep Token. It's definitely more, I mean, this is hardcore, this is math rock, this is gent in a way, I guess. I'm not even sure. This is just like, it's chaotic. Like it's not like there's nothing shoegazy about it. There's like they're heavy guitars, but they're always just 100% like drilling your face.
Yeah, and it's always super tight to the rhythm. That like mathy, like dun dun dun. Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, it reminds me much more of like that mathcore Panic stuff than like the gent. Like where they're playing like a polyrhythm. It's those like really like you just fucking wrecked your car over and over again.
That is what it's like. I like this hook a lot. Or I think we kind of missed it, but the hook on this song is kind of cool.
Where he's talking about I'm not a fool for you, I'm not a fool for anyone.
Yeah, it's catchy.
Yeah, it's another thing that they have in common with Sleep Token, and I'll try to stop talking about Sleep Token. I think we've all had enough.
We've had enough.
But like he is trying to be sultry, which is not something that you hear in heavy music very often.
Almost never. Yeah.
And there is a part of me that is like that's just like a flavor that I'm not used to listening to. Like,
you just don't get that mix. We're just gonna become this podcast where it's like, these guys sound like Sleep Token.
We have like three cultural references: Sleep Token, Dillinger, Fallout Boy,
Foo Fighters,
Josh Freed.
This song is called "Full Moon Guidance."
This fucking riff. Rules.
I really like this song. I mean, this reminded me a lot of Code Orange, like Forever era, like, and almost almost a little bit 9 Inch Nails-y. Just like I don't know what that like deep. Like is reminding me of exactly, but it's making me think of songs off of Forever Code Orange.
I could hear that. Yeah. I mean, this riff is so nasty. The harmonics that they do, and then later they like switch over to an octave pedal. And start doing those like creepy those little
like
There are parts later in this song that kind of remind me of like older Atreyu.
I was never.
Yeah, I know that you weren't ever really into
involved with that.
That's a whole mess I don't want to get involved in.
I don't want to be.
But yeah, this like octave.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fucking sounds sick. But yeah, this stuff, it sounds not unlike Screamo from that era.
Yeah.
Like there's times where I get like a little bit of the Used. I get some Atreyu, like all of that like stuff that kind of mixed with metalcore.
Yeah.
There was like that brief moment where like Avenged first like 2 records were kind of lumped in with like the emo crowd, and then it was like more metalcore.
Now that you say that, it makes me this I didn't realize how much this album and this band could be compared to like Alexis on Fire. With the singing parts and the screaming parts. I mean, it's like it's a totally different animal in the way they're attacking it, but like having those, those sultry parts and those like heavy fucking scream your head off parts, it's very similar. And he doesn't have a voice that's unlike Dallas Green from Alexis on Fire, which I don't know if you listen to Alexis on Fire.
Not a ton, here and there.
They were like one of my favorites for a while in high school. That was my shit.
Like, I was too busy listening to Bleeding Mascara by Atreyu, dude.
I don't know that one.
I think you would like that album. The Curse
scared me, dude.
Yeah, they were too gothic and cool.
Scared me.
Yeah, they do seem to be pulling influences from that. Like when they go melodic, it doesn't sound unlike some of the screamo emo stuff from that time period, at least in the vocal.
Yeah, I would agree.
And it makes sense because like all of that stuff has like core at the end.
Yeah,
like hardcore.
core, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But when they riff, it's my favorite. Like
Yeah.
I love this approach to metal. It's just so brutal.
Every time they come back into a riff, it always just they have the deep boom, and then it goes to something else, but they always kick it off with a boom, 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 like something like that, where it's not cheap. It's like they're actually, they're doing that well.
Yes. Yeah. I like, and I find that sometimes I like when they stay heavier for longer because I find the shifts a bit more like logical. Sometimes like they go like full out drop out for a pop section. But like they're such good like metal musicians that like this stuff is so unexpected.
Yeah.
And I can't really know where it's gonna go next. But it's easier for me to follow along when it's all similar sounds.
It's music that I would have no idea how you would write it.
Ever, dude.
Like, how do you even think to do this stuff? I have no idea. This is the next song, Two-Headed Trout. This is one that I feel like there's like two on this record that I feel like have very heavy pop punk influence, and this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean this opening riff is so sick.
I like the song a lot.
Yeah, like this riff is one of the ones that kind of reminds me of nu metal.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't love the melodic section too much. This really reminds me of like a Fall Out Boy song. Like this would have been on like Infinity on High.
Yeah.
Like Thanks for the Memories era.
Yeah. I feel like if you took this song, like the exact melody and everything about it, and just like all the chords and all the notes, and you just changed it into like deep synthesizers, this would be like a Backstreet's Back All Right type of pop song.
I was almost thinking, what's that band 303?
303, something like that. Yeah. Like I just want to like remake this song just to see if it works, because I feel like I know it would work. Like just that dim 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 dim. Like that sounds like an NSYNC.
Yeah,
like progression.
I mean, it is so poppy.
It's very poppy, but they're using insane guitars to like execute on it.
Yeah, and like the bass groove is really sick, and like weird kind of like chopped up drums. This is one of the ones that like I know that is such a good melody.
Yes.
And like it is very catchy.
Yeah.
But I just want to stay in the dun dun,
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing when they kick into the chorus and he's not really doing a lot of screams. He's like this is a heavy ass section, but he's like,
but yeah, like I'm getting
he's in your face.
Yeah, I am getting a bit more Backstreet Boys, Fall Out Boy than that opening that was just absolutely pummeling.
I just can't believe how much this is reminding me of Millennium, Backstreet Boys, No Strings Attached.
Yeah, and then we go right into this.
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah. I mean, it's a sick song.
It is. Yeah.
I want to move on. This is the next song. Two-Headed Trout kind of leads into this one, but this one's called Tears on Lambo Leather. This is probably the heaviest, most chaotic.
Definitely the mathiest thing we've gotten on the record.
Yeah.
Like this opening is just.
I don't even know how to listen to this song.
I don't know what the time signatures are.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know how you write this. I don't know how you play this.
I don't know how you orchestrate this with 5 other people.
Yeah. And then you're like, and then we're going to sing over it.
Yeah. I just like you tune in, you like lose it, and then like something will make you tune in like that, like a little break, and then you're like you get thrown into a whole other section that feels like just a buzzsaw tornado. And you're just like fucking, rolling around in it, just getting cut up.
Yeah, and this, like, these are the times where you kind of hear like the Mike Patton via Greg,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
like where he's a little more manic, a little
Yeah.
more like higher pitched.
Yeah.
And he's like sticking to those weird rhythms more. Yeah, he has a lot of versatility as a singer.
Yeah. Here we go.
Speaking of.
Here's something that makes you just pause and go, "What's going on here?"
Yeah,
This little like vaporwave drum section.
yeah, they do like. I think it even later goes into like a longer drum and bass.
Yeah.
But there are parts of this song that remind me of that Melted Bodies record.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because like that stuff has like that weirdo Mike Patton vibe
Yeah.
vocally, and
Yeah.
like more like, you know, a mix of like nu metal influences, like
Yeah.
super heavy stuff, but very just weird. Like this is one of the weirdest songs.
Oh yeah, this is the one that like feels like it has almost no direction or plan, you know? Like I don't know how, you know, you really, I mean we said it before, I don't know how you like put this to paper. It's just so all over the place and almost to a fault, I would say, because it does get to a point where you're just like, I don't know what I'm listening to. I was actually just on one of their live videos on YouTube, which is really funny. It was like they're live in the K pit, like the tiny bar.
No.
Yeah, back to the vaporwave elevator drum section. It was funny because they walked out on stage to Every Time We Touch by Cascada.
Hell yeah.
And then that was like the first 15 seconds of the video, and then they just like go into their, you know, their songs. And someone commented and said like, you know, like people put like the track list on, you know, in the comments on YouTube so you can find the timestamps. So when timestamps like 0 to 14 Cascada Every Time We Touch, and then it was like 15 on I Don't Know. It's like that's what I feel like when listening to a lot of these parts. It's like here's a part that sounds like this, and then after that is unidentified. Like I don't know what song it is on the record. I just cannot identify it whatsoever.
Yeah, I think I've listened to this record 5 times.
Yeah, me too.
And I couldn't. I knew that there was that drum and bass section.
Yeah.
But to follow these riffs, I remembered that there are those tempo changes where it like
Yeah.
slows down and speeds back up. But this one especially, I think I could spend like a doctor's thesis trying to remember everything that fucking happens in it, and I would still be lost.
Oh, I was panicked going into this review. I was like, I've listened to it a lot. And
Still don't know what the fuck
still
is happening.
don't know what the record is. This is Lemon. This is one of my favorites. I heard this song. This is probably the first single I heard for the record, and it was very intriguing to me, and it's still intriguing now. It's probably the least heavy on the record, but it has like one of the best grooves and a really, really catchy and memorable hook to it.
Yeah, this might be my least favorite thing on the record.
Oh, okay.
I love the way the drums sound.
Yeah, bass too. I like the bass a lot.
Big time. Yeah, after getting so much like metal drum production,
Yeah.
which can be like very like direct, but like the sonics of it are, you know, they're not what you're there for. They just
Yeah.
need to be full and tight. Like hearing like this very like roomy, earthy
Yeah.
kit, I like a lot. Don't like the Frusciante guitar.
Yeah, the Frusciante guitar isn't that great, but it's like a fucked up Frusciante. It's like
A little bit,
It's a
yeah.
little bit more.
It doesn't have that like classic Strat
Yeah.
tone.
It's a little bit more alien sounding.
Yeah.
But I love that. I mean, it's. I mean, I would not think I'd be, you know, thrown to that era of like boy band pop so much, but that's just what it sounds like to me.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, especially like with the vocal approach. Yeah, I have a tougher time with it. Like especially after what we just came out of.
It feels like a
just-
breather to me. I think that's why I enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I could just use a little more edge. You know what I mean?
The endings kind of pays off a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, they take, you know, they take what they were doing the whole time and just kind of crank on the heat a little bit.
And this feels like
Works.
the used to me, very much so.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like very dramatic,
Yeah.
emotional.
There's a lot
section.
of dramatic parts on this record. Yeah, the biggest critique of the song, I did not like the lyrics whatsoever. It was like a little bit too classic, like that era of metalcore.
There's some good lyrics on here, and then
Yeah.
ones that are like very clever in the
Yeah.
way like the Fall Out Boy lyrics were
Yeah.
clever.
Yeah.
Like, our lawyer made us change the name of this song or whatever, that kind of shit.
Yeah, that kind of stuff where it's like, all right, guys,
Yeah.
everyone's done this before.
Yeah. But I mean, you almost expect it more from the Callous Daoboys.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's built into the
It's
project's
right in the
name.
name. Yeah, you know that they're gonna be cheeky bastards.
Yeah.
This is the next song, Body Horror for Birds, which feels like just an extension of Lemon that goes on for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like even softer
Yeah.
than Lemon. We get that like Clarence Clemens sax.
This is the point in the record where I kind of start having problems with this record. Like after I re-listened to it a couple times, I was like, it feels like so indulgent, very self-indulgent. It's just like every inkling of an idea that they had, they went with it, even if it wasn't like the best one. And like this could have been a cool interlude. It could have been a cool, just like little minute and a half long extension of Lemon, but it's just really long and it doesn't really go anywhere. And I just felt like I wanted to skip it every time.
I feel pretty similar. There's like a guest vocalist that comes in.
Yeah.
That has almost like a Bruno Mars sounding voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This stuff doesn't like it reminds me a bit of that wave of like Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah.
And
we're forgetting about all those bands, but yeah. For
yeah,
sure.
and it seems like there is this impulse in certain areas of like heavy rock.
Yeah.
Of just like how creative can you be, and yeah, I feel somewhat similar. Like I do like it when a band can take me from, I start someplace that I wasn't expecting and go to a whole different place.
Yeah.
But it has to share like the same heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like there are parts of that Squid record that are like crazy where they go, but I never felt like I'm not listening to Squid or
Right.
I'm not listening to the same song.
Right.
And sometimes that happens within a song on this record where I'm like, how the fuck did we get to this like Ricky Martin
Yeah.
sounding section?
And why?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Yeah. Does it inform what we just listened
Yeah.
to? It doesn't always feel like it does. And did having like this pummeling heavy part before it make it any more impactful? And,
Yeah.
and a lot of times I walk away with it being like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And especially on the latter half of the record. I would say the beginning part of the record, they balance those two things out pretty well. Where it's like, this is the most complicated and heavy pop song
Yeah.
I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, I thought the exact same. Like the first half of the record is like it kind of delivers in every front with like hooks and heavy moments and pop moments and some chaotic, some just straight up chaotic moments. And then when you hit this, it feels like a break in the record where the tide kind of shifts and you're kind of in this like this land of experimentation for the sake of experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of like how when we talked about the Idols record where it's like you're just trying to be artsy for the sake of being artsy and you're not really doing it to benefit the listener or the best thing for a song, like to actually write or put something to tape. Like it's just this long extended interlude and it's like you got we say it all the time. Stop trying to be Radiohead. You don't have to be Radiohead.
Yeah.
Not every band has to be Radiohead.
There's one.
There's only one.
We got Radiohead.
We got Radiohead.
Yeah, and even like the way Radiohead approaches like their use of experimentation, it's like they always sound like songs.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And they might have different vibes or what have you,
Yeah.
but very rarely do I feel like on their records where it's just like, well, here's one that we're just going to throw stuff against the
Yeah.
wall and it'll be completely different than everything else.
Yeah.
And, every once in a while you hear a song like that on a record and you're like, damn, that's my favorite
cool. Yeah.
thing. But especially following Lemon, which was probably the softest,
Yeah.
most like experimental in sound in that like nothing in it sounded
Yeah.
like metal.
Yeah.
To follow it up with an even longer version that has probably less of a pop hook.
Yeah, it just has less going on. I mean, it feels like a bass groove that they just like kind of put stuff over,
Just
put
started
spooky
building,
stuff over
yeah.
top of, which is fun to do in the studio. And then you always show it to people, and then they're always like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, it's interesting for you because you're like,
Yeah.
I've never done this. And they're like, well, we like that thing that you do well.
The thing that you do better is actually better. This is the next song, "The Demon of Unreality." Limping. Hold on, sorry.
Limping like a dog.
Limping like a dog. Yeah, sorry, it was moving really slow on the thing, but
Just an
this was-
absolutely
yeah.
disgusting opening riff.
this was one of the singles I remember, and
If you're gonna bring me out of
yeah.
the body horror for birds, this is how you do it.
It
though.
does feel like someone's just going like
Wake up, asshole.
Yeah.
And I like those like laser gun guitars.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. It's very glitchy. Again, I'm getting reminded of Code Orange, almost a little bit like Slipknot as well. I mean, there's a lot of Slipknot on this record, I would say.
Yeah, like that's the era of new
Yeah.
metal I'm thinking.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and this one also has like a pretty decent hook on it, a pretty decent heavy hook on it that feels poppy, but they're doing it with, they're not softening anything here. It's like straight up, just in your face the whole time.
Yeah, it has that like. This reminds me a bit more of like that screamo stuff too. That like Victory Records.
Yeah.
But sick drum fills. And then this is the one that has the Ricky Martin section that's a little bit of a head scratcher to me. I think it's around the minute 40 mark. Because like
trying to
right
remember
now
what
I'm
that
in.
is.
This is
Yeah.
just pummeling. Like you said, it has that like a good melodic hook. And then just like when the guitars are like, I don't know what effects those are, what
Yeah.
pedals those are, how
Yeah.
you.
I'm sure it's,
But yeah.
Yeah,
then
I forgot about this.
And then the bongos arrive.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And you're
alright.
like, why?
yeah. It's like,
Because it goes right back into it.
yeah. Yeah, this gives me almost like an Enrique Iglesias,
Yeah.
Ricky Martin sort of.
Hand on the chest.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I am living my vida loca.
Yeah. I mean, it really doesn't last for very long, but it's just odd to just throw it in there for any reason.
Yeah, yeah, and the breakdown that they go into out of here is like
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's part of you that like, part of me at least, that's like, this is creative. It shows talent that perhaps like just being in a metal band doesn't show.
Yeah.
But I don't know what all it brings to the song or the album. But this is sick.
Yeah. Right back into that fucking chorus. But yeah, that's kind of what I mean by the like the self-indulgence. It's just like,
Yeah.
you didn't like, there was no reason to extend the song, in that way with this little bongo section, because like, I'm gonna remember this hook, I'm gonna remember the heaviness of the song, but not the whatever that
The
salsa dance part was.
Yeah. Yeah, there are ways to get a similar like result.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna have like this lower, more melodic section
Yeah.
into the super heavy part. And that's an interesting idea. It's like, oh well, if we could just do the like, god damn, that's fucking brutal.
I mean, his voice is fucking insane.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there is like an interesting idea at play there. It's like, you've heard how many metal songs do like the Metallica, how they would have like the
Yeah.
clean section to make the heavier part more
Yeah.
heavy. So that it could be anything, but I get thrown out when I start hearing bongos
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
it's too much for my brain to handle, honestly. This is Idiot Temptation Force. Trying to remember what the fuck happens in this one.
I remember this one starting just like a swarm of bees.
Yeah, yeah. And then it stops, I think. There's a hook or something that happens in this one that is also, there's
think
that
they-
very long scream. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a. I definitely think that there is an audience for this stuff. There is this there is a fan base out there that likes and appreciates these like the breadth of your creativity. They
Yeah.
want to hear
Yeah.
these things next to these things, and
Yeah.
we talked about it in the Sleep Token review and the times that we've talked about. What the hell's the band? Ronnie Radke.
Watch the World Burn.
Watch
Yeah.
the World Burn. Or what are they called?
Falling in Reverse.
Falling in Reverse, yeah. And Falling in Callous Daoboys are a million jagillion time better band than Falling in Reverse. But there is a somewhat similar idea at play of like this maximalism when it comes to what you include in your sound.
100%. It feels like you're just, doing it to do it, just to show off your chops. And yeah, I don't know if we're the audience for it or not, but I mean,
like I loved everything that I was hearing.
Yeah.
But this, I just have a harder time with.
Yeah, and it's like it doesn't fit whatsoever. And it's not like it's, bad. I mean, I guess that's a part of their style to go into these parts, but like it really feels like you're at a certain point they're just taking the wind out of your sail. They're just poking a hole, right in that sail.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like they kind of go together. You know what I mean?
Sort of,
but
yeah.
it doesn't ever, like, especially that one where it's just like it does kind of just feel like a whole nother song for a little bit to get back to a super heavy section.
Let's move on to the next one. This is Douchebag Safari, which it does sound like a douchebag safari at the beginning. It sounds like the opening credits to like Sonic, when you're signing in.
Yeah.
Like you're just choosing the main menu, on the main menu screen to like Super Mario Brothers or something.
Yeah.
This I think is my least favorite on the record. One of my least favorites on the record because of just how, I don't know, something about this melody just doesn't sit right with me. It feels a little bit sour and I don't know. Like if I was to hear this on the radio, I'd be like, get that off,
Yeah, like he's like following that flute.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. It's kind of impressive that like you have that vocal control.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's that like satisfying.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like a detective. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Something's not hitting me right about it.
No, there's like something 16-bit video game about it.
Yeah.
I think you kind of were on it to begin with.
Yeah.
But then we go into another like really satisfying pummeling section.
But these pummeling sections, after a while, just start to feel like very nameless and faceless. You know what I mean? Like they're just, after so much of it, and it's like they keep going back into the kind of the same thing, the same way to go back to the heavy parts. It starts to just feel like you can't identify one from the other.
Well, and I think that part of that is the issue that I have is like the melodic parts towards this back half stop like talking to the heavy parts.
Yeah.
They start kind of existing in their own vacuums.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't link these two because I don't feel like they connect.
Yeah, they were doing it so much better in the first half of the record. And with the Demon of Unreality, I felt like had a better flow, if not for the Ricky Martin part. But yeah, it just starts to feel like you get something weird and then a big heavy boom that just exists for a while, and you're like, yeah, they could have literally copied and pasted it from another song and I wouldn't have noticed.
It does kind of feel that way. Yeah, and this is cool though.
Oh yeah, all the glitchy spaceship guitars,
Yeah, this is definitely a little Code Orange, that era.
For sure.
Yeah, that is definitely holding back like some of my enjoyment of this record is like I love the heavy parts, but when they get broken up by this like melodic part that doesn't feel like complements it, I have a hard time like, remembering it.
Remembering it for sure.
Being excited for it to come back.
Yeah. Because it's going to come back.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the exact same pretty much. Let's move on to Distracted by the Mona Lisa. This is, I think, there was Two-Headed Trout Distracted by the Mona Lisa, the two most pop punk songs on the record. I mean, this does feel like ripped straight from 2005.
Yeah. And I gotta say, this is one of my favorite things on the record.
It's good. I like it. I like this song.
Yeah, and I like that they don't try to muck it up.
It's just straight up, like, has one lane that it's headed down.
Yeah, they're fine with it being cut from the team or whatever.
Yeah.
That it would be on like the emo forever Spotify playlist.
Yeah, it really does feel like that.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that work the best. Like, it's not my favorite era of music, but there's still some jams in there.
Yeah.
And this definitely feels like a loving recreation.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I was never like huge into that scene as a kid. I was never like, into those kind of emo bands like A Day to Remember or Fall Out Boy or My Chemical Romance. Or
all the
anything
kids
like
that were in bands were into that when I was in school.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Deep Purple is actually sick.
That's exactly how I was.
So I had no one to play with except for Jim.
Yeah.
He's the only dude that would be like, let's learn the first 30 seconds of Lazy and play that for 2 years.
That's exactly how I was. People liked cool music, and I was just like, you know what's cool is Angus Young.
Yeah, my dad thought he was cool.
My dad thought he was cool. I think he's really cool. Ever heard of Ace Frehley? He's really cool.
Me and my dad are going to see Ace.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
We just have to see Peter Criss, and we'll have seen the entire the entire original lineup of Kiss.
All separately.
Yeah. Peter Criss, who's like doing a talk for his book where he just talks shit on Gene.
I saw Peter Criss.
I saw them all.
I saw him. But yeah, I like the song a lot. Back to the song. It's catchy. It's fun. It's it's a throwback. There's not really any screaming in it.
No, this is like the most palatable crossover sort of song. Like, I could see this song being huge with people who, if they heard the rest of this stuff, they'd be like, what is going on?
What the fuck? Yeah. But you could definitely trick someone into being like, you're going to love the Callous Daoboys.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like right up my alley. And you played it and like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then you hit them with fucking Schizophrenia Legacy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Douchebag Safari. Let's move on to the next one. This is Opt Out. This is another kind of interlude. This is the second part, I guess, to the first song, Collection of Forgotten Dreams. This is the one where he's like trying to get into the Museum of Failures, I guess. It's there's really not much music in this, but
yeah, it's a guy buying a ticket.
Yeah.
And like he tries to get a discount with the museum membership.
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, dude."
They're like, "Nah." He's like, "Okay, gotcha."
And then he's like, "Oh, it's sponsored by Jeep."
Yeah. I didn't hear the sponsored by Jeep part. But
and there's like something in the opening that they found all of the record, but they had just unearthed the last song, Country Song in Reverse.
Yeah.
So why don't we just skip ahead?
Let's go to that one.
Because that's what we call a doozy in the biz.
Yeah, Country Song in Reverse.
It's 11 and a half.
Is, nearly 12 minutes. And it has, like, 2 minutes of, like, just kind of
ambient jam.
Ambient noise, yeah. Let's fast forward a bit. And then it has, like, a Kanye West almost switch up at six minutes. Yeah. It's really out of nowhere and really throws you off.
Yeah, I thought that this song kind of exemplifies like both the best and maybe worst parts of this record.
I thought so.
Like, because some of like the heavy stuff is absolutely brutal. Probably the most brutal shit on the record. And then when it will switch up, sometimes it feels like an entirely different song. Like literally the song that you just listened to ended. Yeah. And now we have this new thing that's playing.
Especially like right smack dab in the middle of the song. Like, I just want to get to this part. I was just like, what is happening? Like, I took my headphones off at one point and then put them back on like while I was listening to the song, and I put them back on while this was happening, and I thought it was a different band.
They just started playing 808s and
that's what it sounds like. It sounds like something Kanye would release now.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on
I
cock.
love you.
Yeah, I mean, I do like what they did there though, of like trying to bring it into the metal. Like, you think he's just gonna keep repeating that, and maybe
Yeah.
like a melodic thing will come up, but
Yeah.
like they start coming in with the panic chords on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I didn't really like how they were doing like the like I thought that was a little bit, I don't know. I just didn't like that part at all. Same thing with like Douchebag Safari, where it's something about it was just like not
Just hitting you
sitting
wrong.
right with me. But the ending is really cool.
Yeah.
The ending has like an actual melody and a place to bang your head, and it really. I mean, there's a little bit of a pause, but from what I remember, if I'm remembering it right, yeah, has this weird little slow jazzy part though.
Yeah, like a little like finger picky
Yeah,
type thing, and then it picks up a bit.
yeah, yeah. Again, feels like a 2000s era emo song almost. Like I can't even think of what band this is reminding me of right now, but
Yeah, like so much of that stuff, I don't have. I have like the cliff notes.
Yeah,
of,
I have cliff
like
notes
a
of it.
random album that I
Yeah.
liked.
yeah,
Like I liked the Used second album.
I don't know much of the
And-
Used. I
and
know they have like
Atreyu.
one big song.
Yeah, the Taste of Ink.
What is that? What does that sound like?
Is it worth the gun? Yeah.
I don't know if I know that. AFI maybe like
I mean, they're not even emo. They're
they were.
like corporate mall punk.
I mean,
Another
corporate mall.
and this is another Sleep Token reference.
Yeah,
the sax,
saxophone comes back in on the end of the song.
unprotected sax.
Yeah,
dude.
unprotected sax coming in.
Premarital sax. Dude. Should be the name of their next
Premarital Sax is a great
record. Dude.
album name.
Just me in like a straight prom tuxedo holding a sax. Dude. Premarital sax.
That'd be such a good album name. Oh
It
my-
has
for
to
for an
exist.
album with one song with half a second of sax on it.
It's just me like
Premarital
poorly playing the
sax, yeah.
Titanic song.
The God, yeah, just all the hits. Just
Yeah, my heart will
Titanic,
go on.
Godfather, yeah. Yeah, this is pretty much the end of the record.
Yeah,
Move
and
into
this is like we often talk about like records kind of not ending how you would want them on.
Yeah.
But this is like the triumphant big
It's a satisfying
melodic.
ending, yeah, for sure.
I think the journey towards the back half of the 11 and a half it's rocky at times,
Pretty rocky. Yeah.
but this as like
Yeah.
the final statement of the record is like it's pretty nice.
I would agree. Should we move into the CAs? Should we just go
Yeah.
for it? Do you want to go first?
Yeah. I feel pretty mixed on this record, as you probably could tell by listening to it. But I didn't like hate it by any means. But there are like certain parts of it that work really well, and then other parts of it that I just kind of found puzzling and not that rewarding.
Yeah.
Like usually, even when we listen to like a complicated, weird album, by the third or fourth time I've listened to it, I'm picking stuff up. Like
Yeah.
when we listened to Geordie Greep, by the third time I was like, oh, I remember this part, I remember
Yeah.
that part. Similar with like Squid, whatever. We've listened to a good bit of like
Yeah.
complicated, weird albums. I never really got there with this. Like I would listen to it. I listened to it 5 times, and there were still parts of that back half where I'm just like, what
Yeah.
part is this? What song is
Yeah.
this? I think the first half works pretty well with like the melodies mixing with the heavy parts, and it's still like more impressive and diverse than you hear in most heavy rock. Like if they would have like kind of stuck to that, I think it would have been an impressive like mix of genres, but that kind of worked in a more like holistic, organic way. But towards the back half, I felt like some of the more melodic pop elements sort of existed completely on their own, and then the heavy parts were kind of completely on their own. They're like oil and water, and I didn't really feel like where there was a unifying idea to hold these things together. So that definitely hurt my enjoyment of it. But like as musicians, players, they are like next level.
Yeah.
Like the like pure musicianship, but also like the compositions, how they're able to put these parts together, and like what is happening musically is so chaotic, and then he's able to lock into this very traditional sounding melody.
Yeah.
Like that stuff's really impressive. But some of like the creative elements that they're running in, it just feels like it's a little further than their grasp of being able to make all of this stuff sit together in a satisfying way for me. I think I've seen a lot of people call this like their album of the year already.
Wow.
And really like enjoy it. So it may just be where I'm at with like the wild shifts in genres.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm gonna give it like a 6-7. I think it's like, if you're into this type of heavy rock, I definitely think it's worth your time, and I think that your mileage will vary. I think a lot of people will like this more than I did.
Yeah, I feel pretty similar to you. Like, this was the one record we listened to, like, probably this entire year, where I felt like a parent, who's, like, hearing their kid's favorite band for the first time, where, like, I felt so lame for not getting it, but I really didn't get it. Like, and I'm a fan, like, a big fan of bands like Dillinger, but it had Dillinger elements, but the way that they transitioned into the pop hooks, like I got it on some songs, and then like the more I listened to it, the more I felt like it like lost me, and like even with like the conceptual stuff too, I just felt like I just don't fucking care at this point. I was like, just give me a song, and you do get it towards the end with Distracted by Mona Lisa, but then they leave you with, a 12-minute song that has a whole bunch of crazy shifts in it. There was a lot of songs I really enjoyed on this. I liked Lemon. I liked the demonic barking, limping like a dog.
Yeah.
Demon of unbetrayal. I can't remember what it's called.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, you got me. Like I was like, it always happened the same way for me. Like where I'd start listening to this, get excited, and be like, "This is sounding really cool," and then it just started dwindling. And while it dwindled, I started kind of going like, and what was that shit before? Like, like it kind of made me like question the things I even enjoyed about it at first, because it's just so strange, and some of those pop like those pop elements and those pop sections, like they work, but only in they last for not very long, and they do remind me so much of like Fall Out Boy and like bands I just really wasn't that into like as a kid, and am not really into now. But the intensity is there, the creativity is there. I mean, as a band, I think like massive props to them for putting this together, and they're definitely like cut from a different cloth than any other band I've heard, and they're not doing they're not doing the Watch the World Burn type of song where you smash all these genres and shifts together. They're not doing it in a cheesy way. I feel like it's very much their own sound, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, to his credit, he never raps.
No, he never raps.
Which is kind of the deal sealer
that we've heard from plenty of guys like this whole year. He doesn't rap, he just screams. And he's got a great scream in the guitar tones on this record, and the bass tones and the drum. Like, it sounds fucking awesome. Like, the actual production of this record is amazing. But yeah, I just kind of like would just. It's something that has not happened to me in a while, where I just like would tire out of it. I wouldn't get tired of it, but I would just feel like I can't listen to this anymore. Like I'm not going to understand it. But it was, it was an interesting listen. I just didn't want to have to listen to it 8 times.
Yeah.
But I was gonna give it a 6.8, which, what did you say it was?
6.7. So
yeah,
6,
so it's a
7,
6.75. Yeah.
I think it's a We're Becoming Our Fathers.
We're becoming our fathers. Hell yeah.
I say we give it a hell yeah.
Is it a hell yeah? Oh, 4 to 6 is a yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in that no man's land. We're
in no
closer
man's
to
land.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a we're becoming our fathers. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a hell yeah, but only like when I can pat my son on the back and be like, yeah, hell yeah.
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. No, I felt pretty similar to you of like having that moment where it's like, am I not cool
Am
anymore?
I not? Yeah. Would I have enjoyed this if I was like 22?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we've heard a lot of newer music that is doing something similar to
Yeah.
this. It's not the exact sounds, but this like super adventurous, like the walls of genre are
Yeah.
down, and if we want to put the bongos in the middle of our like grindcore song, we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like I'm all for breaking down the like creative boundaries, but some boundaries maybe weren't meant to be broken.
That's what I thought too. It is fun. Like I've listened to bands that are like, no, definitely heavier than this band and scarier than this band, but it just doesn't feel like you get to that like evil place where I can go like, oh my god, that's fucked up. Like that sounds fucking crazy. It just always, you always like sense it around the corner. It's like they're gonna throw in a fucking saxophone solo in
we're gonna
half
get
a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stump's gonna show up.
yeah. Stump's gonna show up with a saxophone guy, and I'm gonna be thrown off, and then I'm just not gonna be into it for the rest of the song.
Yeah, it's I feel like if they just like extended some of those heavy sections more, because like you said, it does feel like I'm in the middle of this thing. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, and then you're pulled out and then back in.
Yeah.
Similar to, and I hate to say it again, Sleep Token. When we were listening to that record, where it's just the unpredictability has a way to become predictable.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, I'm not gonna hear this for long.
Yeah. Yeah.
At some point this is going to switch like drastically.
Yeah.
And that kind of like calibrates my brain to be like, well, don't get too attached.
Right, exactly.
Because if I really like it, we might go into something else. But I do think that there's a lot of, like you said, artistic merit to it. And I think there are people that are going to fuck with this way more.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I can definitely see why people would think this is like already their album of the year because of how like if this is a popular type of rock music and metal music right now, they're doing it probably the best, I would say. The best of what I've heard. Like, when you have shit like Sleep Token being the most popular, and then you have this being on the other end of the spectrum being like, no, this is the real shit, Yeah. This is not fucking Watch the World Burn. This is people that actually have talent and like, an ear for, like, the metalcore we grew up with rather than just, like, making something that is experimental for the sake of being dramatic and artsy. Like I feel like they're not really dramatic or artsy people. They just seem like a group of people that like want to make the most fucking insane thing possible by, but still putting like the things that they liked and grew up with, their influences in there somewhere.
Yeah, and like with a deeper appreciation probably than other people that we've heard pull from like disparate elements than their main focus. Like that drum and bass section in that one song, it's like that is cooler sounding than half of the bands that I hear bring in a drum machine for 15 seconds. It's like, oh, this person actually likes cool like drum and bass music and it's employed in a cooler way. Even when they go into like pop sections, you could tell they have a better ear for than just like whatever top 40 slop is on like the Spotify algorithm. That is one thing that I will say is that they did the thing that we've talked about these other bands not doing, where it's just like, here is a generic form of this pop in the middle of our song. It's like, no, they're doing something weirder, more specific. Yeah. And they're actually putting their stamp on it when they move into those sections.
Yeah. They always have their own spin on it. And they also, that it's their own thing because they don't have a single song about phones ruining people's brains and their lives.
Yeah.
Which is a difficult, I understand, I guess, is a difficult thing for a metalcore band to do.
Yeah, especially when you're doing the algorithm rock of just
Yeah.
a TikTok algorithm
Yeah.
song where we're gonna go into 5 genres at once. Like,
Yeah.
well, we got to write about something. The phone.
We got to talk about how our phones are fucking us up, right?
No, we're talking about dead dogs limping
Yeah.
like a demon or
We're
something.
talking about Schizophrenia Legacy, which is, I mean, these song titles, my God, so cool. Two-Headed Trout, Tears on Lambo Leather.
I mean, douchebag safari.
Douchebag Safari is great.
That's just somebody stopping in to watch the pod. Like, I was on a douchebag safari, found a couple. This is a 7-1 easy, dumbass.
How could you not give it a solid hell yeah?
Yeah, you had to fucking cut it
You had to
down and
cut
bring
it
your
down.
dad into it.
Wasn't even a good hell yeah. Oh man, yeah, that we are a douchebag safari. This channel, and thank you everyone for tuning in to this douchebag safari. What did you think of this record? Did you like this record more than us? Are you more appreciative of what Callous Daoboys are doing than we are? Are you cooler than us? Because I think it might be a lot of just we're not cool anymore.
No, dude.
You know,
It's over.
it's over. I think it might be over. This
Last
album
app.
made me really realize it. Let us know what you thought of this album in the comments if you've listened to it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And subscribe to our Patreon. $5 a month to become a quitter. You get bonus content. There's going to be more coming out there soon. Callous Daoboys, I don't want to see you in heaven. 6.75. We're becoming our fathers. Yeah, whatever.
No, it's a hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. We're becoming our fathers. Hell yeah. Excuse me. I'm sorry about that.
We don't need the Daoboys crew. We already got the token hive.
I know. We
pissed
can't
off
have
at
these
us.
people coming after us. But thanks, everyone, for watching. It's I Quit My Band. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.